Call halal Yahweh Bashim Abishai Bashim Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners, and to the Akwath that are listening and learning to you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malchaamah from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson. I'd like to give thanks to those who have given alms. It's much appreciated and much needed. But this lesson here is going to be focused around this video, which was put up by the Silver Report Uncut. As you can see, in the way that this video starts, it always starts with this guy coming up in and out of the ceiling, and he's got looks like gold or silver bars, that he's using, because that's what's going to be real currency soon. As we get closer and closer to this digital reset, it's going to be very difficult to operate in this society if you don't have other means of a currency outside of the outside of the currency that's being used, this fiat currency, which is going to eventually become worthless. All right. At first, you're going to need it, to have cash on hand. As everything begins to shut down, then it's going to get to the point that even the cash that you have on hand will be useless, and that's when the silver is going to come into play. All right. But ultimately, you need Yahweh Bashim Now shot. You can have all the silver and gold in the world. If the Lord is not with you, it won't matter. But let's let some of this video play, and then I'm going to go into the scriptures and give a summary as to what's going on. So without any further ado.
Hey guys, welcome to the Silver Report Uncut. Now I wanted to begin with the collapse of tourism around the world. Now there are some states and cities in our nation that are absolutely dependent on tourism. We know their rental markets are falling apart, their unemployment levels are significantly higher than the rest of the country. But the flow of foreign visitors in Japan, for example, published by the Japan National Tourism Organization. Now we need to pause, because last year in 2019, travel and tourism made up around 7% of their total GDP. Now their data showed the arrival of foreign visitors, it collapsed 99% year on year in July. It came in at 3,800 individuals. It's slightly higher than the previous month, which was 2,600 individuals, but when you compare it to the beginning of the year, Japan had 2.6 million foreign visitors in just the first month of this year. It's also a nation that was expecting to host the Olympics.
It was expecting to host the Olympics, so that was devastating financially to them, because I can only imagine the money that was vested, in the setting that up, and the things, the different products that were sold and moved around, and then all of a sudden nothing. All right, but this is Ecclesiastes, had to bring it. Let's get it first and out the way. The 12th chapter, Ecclesiastes 12:3, and it reads, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened." And what this telling you, how these factories, the grinders are the factories and the jobs ceasing. All right, and the few of those that look out of the windows be darkened. Basically, that would be the people who just don't see a future. All right, the people who are coming to that brutal reality that there really is no hope and no future. And then you got the people who can accept that, and they just keep driving forward. They lie to themselves to make themselves feel better. All right, that's what they do. Salakia. But let's read verse 4. Ecclesiastes 12:4. "And the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and the daughters of music shall be brought low." All right, so all these doors are shut. Tourism was expected. As you see, it says tourism burst. And it said jobs are continued to on the screen. Just before I froze it, it told you how jobs were expected to continue. Millions of jobs were expected to millions of job losses expected in 2021. And if you think 2020 was a bad year, you wait to 20. And we're not even done with 2020 yet. You know, that could very well be, civil war breaking out in skirmishes before this year's over, around the time of that election. But we'll get to that in a moment. All right. But it says he should rise up at the voice of the bird. That's those electric roosters, those electric alarm clocks. Alarm clocks, man. People are getting up and they're filling out applications online. You can't even go to places anymore in most cases. And people are hunting for jobs, but there is none, man. And music sucks is horrible. You know, there are very few artists that put out really good music anymore. You notice even in the movies, they're just regurgitating stuff that was done already. You know, as far as music and movies. But let's let this continue a little.
Now, the current projections are that the country will draw around 40 million visitors this year. But at the current rate, the final numbers for 2020 might be closer to 7 or 8 million at best. This would be a drop of 80% compared with last year's data. Now, over the past several years, they have been trying to find a way to have travel and tourism contribute more to their economy and to make more money. They have spent an enormous amount of advertising and marketing attempting to begin getting more money from people visiting the island.
And see, nobody's visiting the island, and the same thing is happening not only in Japan, but it's happening in America. All right? Because America relies heavily on tourism. The biggest cities, cities and business centers in America, by far, is New York, L.A., Chicago, San Francisco. And all those cities are facing the same issues. All right. As a matter of fact, I just saw a report where it says 68% of hotels are operating at half staff. I mean, half of their staff is working, half of their staff is not working. You know. Then it says 60% of those businesses that shut down will not open back up. From the businesses that shut down and during this pandemic. And it also says that 34% of the 68% that's operating at half staff are expected to close permanently in the next 5 to 6 months. Man, all hell is getting ready to break loose in this place, man. Because it's already saying that you got more than half of the American workforce. America roughly has about 330 million people in it. The workforce is a little over 100 million. The other rest of that number are old and young, retired people and children. So your workforce is a little over 100 million. You got less than half. You got half more than half of your workforce isn't working, and now they're expecting the other half that is working. Half of them are not going to be working soon. What do you think is going to happen in this place? All right, this is Isaiah 24 and 11, and it reads, "There is crying for wine in the streets, all joy is darkened, the mirth of the land is gone." People are sad and miserable, all right? Suicides at an all-time rate, is an all-time high. Opioid and drug use is at an all-time high. STDs is at an all-time high. Breakups and divorces, adultery is at an all-time high. All right, this is really revealing, and a lot of you well-to-do men that married these women, you starting to find out that that for good, or for better, or for worse, that the for worse part, they not honoring that shit, man. All right, the majority of them, there's a few out there that'll stick by you, but the majority of them, especially if they're really attractive. And I already did the video that the easiest woman to get is the one who has a man already. All right, because all the attention that she gets so much attention, from so many different men, you know, but they only have to compete with that one guy versus a single woman who's got, you know, who's bouncing around from man to man. It's hard to grab her up because she's already bouncing around from man to man. But that woman who's got a man, she, you know, she's the easiest prey, and most of them go. It's an ugly, horrible, scary reality, but most of them will go. All right? But let's move it on. Let's go to the next scripture. This is Jeremiah 16:9. And it reads, "For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the God of Israel, I will cause to cease out of this place in your eyes and in your days the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness and the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride." So it's nothing but pain, destruction, and fear being pumped throughout America. All right? Horrible weather and horrible weather forecasts and horrible futures financial forecasts. That's what you're seeing. So let's click to another video. All right. We're gonna go to this STHF video at the top. So SHTF, Salakia, stands for shit hit the fan time. So it's time. And it says the digital reset is coming. So let's click on it. The character looked like Amalek.
Listen up. Right here in the closet,
That
with
dog
no
commercial.
refrigeration, with no special storage.
Well, look at that.
Patriots survival
What
food kit.
Patriot
The last
survival's
25
food? That
years,
this is
honestly,
what
they're
they're
some of the best survival packs in the market
what
right
they're
now.
advertising,
And
because
we're
that's what
offering
time it is,
affordable
man.
Buy one get one free deal.
That's the time it is, because
Click
people
the
know
link
that it's
right
about
now,
shit is about to hit the
because
fan.
these
But let's click him off.
Morning, Prepper Nation. John here. First order of business, send help. My wife actually just told me as I was coming out of the back of the Ponderosa that when I'm done, I need to move furniture today. Around the house, she's rearranging everything. It's not Animal Crossing. This stuff takes time. It's ridiculous. Does she not realize that Shotgun Saturday night was last night, and some of us are exhausted? Thank you for being there if you were there last night, folks. For those of you who are not getting notifications, I don't know why. It's YouTube. I don't know what's going on with YouTube, folks.
Well,
I really
let's click.
seconds, and I really appreciate it.
Okay, there we go.
So during the live chat last night, several people brought up the question of the currency reset and the switch to all digital currency here in the United States.
Which is why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. COVID was put into place for the two main reasons. Number one was to hide the crash of the dollar and prepare the way, and prepare the way for the microchip. And number two was to hide all that pedophilia that was going on in Hollywood and in the government. All right. It served it because all this stuff got swept under the rug. Jeffrey Epstein and the president and the prince and all these high level people, all they got swept under the rug, in the storm, which was COVID. Okay? Which was to hide the collapse of the dollar. Okay? The purposeful devaluation of the dollar and the reset and the wealth transfer, how the wealth was transferred from the working class people, the middle class people to the super rich elites. Matter of fact, let's get one quick scripture and let him go back to it. This is what am I looking for? There we go. Yeah, Sirach 10:8, and it reads, "Because of unrighteous dealings and injuries got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another." So they transferred the wealth of America from the working class people with all those jobs that you see, all those millions of jobs disappearing, and all that wealth is going to the super rich now who are already rich. All right, because they want to bring in this new world system, that IBU or whatever it's called, EBI, when they just give you money basically to stay at home, All right, they want to create this socialism, and I've heard it said that capitalism is socialism for the super wealthy. And if this isn't proven that to be true, I don't know what is. But here we go.
And also globally, and they were asking my opinion on that. And I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an expert. I'm going to go ahead and say that up front, folks. There are a lot of things that I'm really good with. That's not one of them. So I had to do some digging around very early this morning. I was up at like 6:30 this morning digging around for this stuff, because I do truly think that we are being put in a position to eventually switch over to all digital currency.
Yep.
It's coming at some point. They're going to reset the economy. And as I was explaining to the people last night in Shotgun Saturday Night, the biggest reason is we as a nation cannot stop spending money. We live off of credit. I'm not just talking about citizens. Of course, most of us have debt and credit cards and things like that. I'm talking about the government. Both sides, both wings of the government.
Now remember what he just said.
Ponderosa.
Oh damn! What the hell happened?
Financial advisor. I'm not digging around for this stuff.
He said
They're
both
going
wings.
to reset. We as a nation, both wings of the.
There we go. Both wings. All right. I tried to pause it and took it back, but remember, both these wings are on the same bird. So the two wings are both a distraction. And that's why the Americans are some of the stupidest people on the face of the earth, because they haven't figured that shit out yet. Even though they tell you about the electoral college is being mentioned now in the last 10 years, and it wasn't mentioned prior to that time. All right, the voting is all an illusion to give you the illusion that you have a choice, that you have a voice to keep you people from rioting, and it's not working anymore. People are waking up to it. All right, and it's going to bring on some serious issues as a result of it. This is Jeremiah 7 and 34, and it reads, "Then I will cause to cease from the cities of Judah and from the streets of Jerusalem the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness and the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, for the land shall be desolate." So this is what happened when we fell, and now the curses are upon Esau, Edom, and upon Babylon. Because remember, the scripture are manyfold. And everything that happened to us has to happen to them double. Thus saith the Bible.
Government. So, for example, the left wing, their answer is to jack the taxes up on everybody in order to pay for things, or they like to rob money from places like the military, etc., in order to fund their little pet projects, if you will. On the right-hand side, the right wing in this country, they just spend money. I don't know where the money comes from, to be quite frank, because we're in a position, and we have been for a while now, where our government outspends the tax revenue that's coming in. And so this has been going on and on and on for decades, folks. And I think for a while now, they have known, okay, as I was telling my viewers last night, we need somebody to pin this on. Because what is happening is banks are getting bailed out, and very large corporations are getting bailed out, but banks particularly. And they know there's no possible way that they're ever going to be able to pay that federal money back. And the government knows that they're never going to be paid back for it. They know the people don't have the money to pay it back. Nevertheless, the banks continue to get bailed out, and the people running the banks, the CEOs and things like that, are lining their pockets, getting richer and richer and richer, and putting our country in more debt. Okay? So I'm going to put 2 links down below that will lead you to the news articles. They're recent. I think they're earlier this month. The first is that there's a joint venture happening right now behind the scenes between Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Facebook. 3 companies that you really don't want in charge of digital currency, yeah, they're teaming up. And for example, Goldman Sachs, that's a global investment bank, and I'll explain in a minute why that's very important. But yeah, Goldman Sachs, just to recap, J.P. Morgan, and Facebook. Now, I'm not even sure what Facebook has to do with anything.
And it's funny how these private businesses actually control government policy. Facebook is all deeply involved in your government now, just like the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is not a part of your government, but yet it can dictates and controls government policy. It is literally a fourth branch of government. Americans should have been rioting 70, 80 years ago. As soon as they put the Federal Reserve into place, it should have been burned to the ground. And everyone that's involved in it and supported it should be thrown in jail. But you Americans are stupid. And as a result of it, if you've lost your country because of those things, he said that America and our government and the citizens operate in debt. This is a debt-based system. How else do you expect it to operate, man? And everything's going to shut down. We're going to close with this scripture, man, because it's just going to get violent. Like you said, America is morally destroyed, financially destroyed. Its interior, it's falling apart. Its infrastructure is falling apart. Its citizens and its people are divided. Its parties are divided. All right, and it's on the verge of shutting down. Shtf is actually about to happen, man. Your current president just declared the FBI as an illegal, which they are, as an illegal group that was actually trying to help stage a coup to get him out of office. And if any of that can be proven to be true, man, and so he said it's not going to be a peaceful transfer of power. He's not going to. He's not planning on leaving office, man. So we got about 35 days before the election, and that election, whether he wins, it could be civil war. If he loses, it could be civil war. And what else comes with that? That damn vaccination, which most of Americans are already saying no to. So they're gonna have a hard time. The matter of fact, most of the world is saying no to it. All the people that nations are trying to push it. So this thing get ready to go down, man. This is 2nd Ezra 6:24, and it reads, "At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear of those that dwell therein, and the springs of fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run." So it's going to be no water, no electricity, no food, no services, no 911. All right? Utter chaos and pandemonium. Rape, robbery, murder, spoiling of houses, people getting lynched and hung. It's just, and then when there's no food, cannibalism. That's what's coming. Call Halal Yahweh by Shem Abashai by Shem Rakak Wadash, Wa Abba Babal, Shalom.